Welcome to Restore 2022. In our readings, we've got as far as Matthew chapter 1. Now, long before Matthew wrote his gospel, God had promised to Abraham, "In your offspring, all the nations of the earth will bless themselves." And then sometime later, God made a promise to David. "I won't lie to David. His offspring shall endure forever. His throne will be established forever." Matthew's gospel starts with a bang. The first 8 words, 8 words in Greek, literally mean the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, David's son, Abraham's son. He is the offspring spoken of. He is the heir, says Matthew, on behalf of Israel, to all the promises God made to Abraham and David, and the conduit through whom they are fulfilled. Now, he doesn't mince his words. He's quite adamant. And since he's writing initially for a predominantly Jewish readership, there's no better way to underpin Jesus' real entitlement to inherit these promises than by a family tree, tracing his human descent back through David and to Abraham himself. And so we have this genealogy. Matthew includes 42 generations, and they're divided up equally. 14 from Abraham to David, 14 from David to the deportation to Babylon, and 14 from then until Christ. This is the literary device. He doesn't include all the generations that have passed between that time. For instance, between Perez and Aminadab, 450 years pass, but only 3 generations are mentioned. And between Nahshon and David, there are 400 years, but only 5 generations are mentioned. And though in our modern age we might cry foul to these omissions, in his day, all this was perfectly legit. It was Jewish practice. So, every family tree, yours and mine, I guess, have their heroes and their villains. Heroes in this one would include Jehoshaphat and Boaz. Villains would include wicked old Manasseh and Jeconiah, also known as Jehoiachin. Now, an unusual feature of this family tree is that it features 6 women. 3 of these women actually are of questionable character. 3 of these women are Gentiles. There's Tamar, who's a Canaanite, and Rahab from Jericho, and Ruth, who's a Moabitess. Now, the genealogy ends with Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born. Remember, Matthew is demonstrating that Jesus is the legal heir to the promises made to Abraham and to David. And so it's perfectly consistent with that he should say, and the way he was born was just as the Lord spoke through the prophets. This, in fact, is the Lord's doing. He's God's anointed Saviour. One commentator has said this: this lineage is comprised of men, women, adulterers, prostitutes, heroes, and Gentiles. And Jesus will be the Saviour of them all.